Hey, how's everybody doing today? Looking to show you guys the 12 brand sets that we've identified within the beta. We've done some research and looking around on other websites and everything, and all we've been able to find up to this point is like 8, 9 different brand sets. So we've actually identified 12, and we're actually going to break them down. And why do we want to break them down? So once we took a look at the 12 brand sets and started trying to kind of piece things together to see what types of builds we can build out of them, we noticed certain attributes, certain categories within each of the brand sets. So we're going to break those down moving forward. Some quick notes that I want to cover real quickly for you, and they're a little bit based off the previous video that we did called How to Build a Build. And so the first one is that gear attributes will make your build unique. And when we say that, basically we're saying that in regards to anybody can have 3 pieces of Alps, 2 pieces of Petrov, and 1 Douglas and Harding. That's not going to make your build unique. What's really going to make it unique are the attributes that you associate with your actual base build. And then the next thing is most gear and weapon talents will be situational. So we look at the talents as add-ons, enhancements to your base build, um, because most of those, but not all, of the gear and weapon talents are situational, where you have to do something to activate that actual talent. Questions that you want to look to ask yourself moving forward when you're looking at these brand sets and you'll see why once we get to that point in just a second, is what are your primary weapons that you want to use? What skills am I most likely to use when running this build? Do I want a DPS build, a skill build? Is it a balanced build? Do I want increased armor, skill power, or accuracy, or damage to elites? We include this because a lot of times that we've been looking at the brand sets, we see like 3 pieces that we want to use and then 2 pieces, and then what are you going to use for that 6th piece, right? So what's that single last piece? And typically all you're going to get is the top bonus item off the brand set. So that usually comes down to armor, skill power, damage to elites, or accuracy, one of those types of things. The fifth thing is, am I building a PvE or a PvP build? And I think in Division 2, and discussions we've had with the other members of the clan, is that it's really actually not going to be so much there. You're going to actually see a lot more builds that are cross usability between PvE and PvE. But there are specific builds that we can see with, such as crit hit chance, crit hit damage, heavy builds that are probably most likely PvP builds. And obviously you're not going to want to put damage to elites within a PvP build. So that's something to look at. The last thing is which specialists would be best for my build, because you can really build any build without using any of the specialists. So obviously the specialists each come with a unique custom weapon, and also each specialist, which is really important to note, is that each specialist comes with a specific skill that they can use. So if you're building a particular build that you want to use that skill, you're going to want to use that particular specialist. And with that said, we'll move on and break these down real quick. So here are the 12 brand sets. I'll just go ahead and let you guys take a look at them. You can pause the screen, whatever. But we made a key on the left-hand side, and these are the categories we broke things down. We probably could have used less categories, but decided not to. So we have weapon damage, skill power items, damage to elites, which could kind of be more of an offensive category. But we wanted to pull that out because it's actually PvE specific. Crit hit chance, crit hit damage, another offensive thing, but that's PvP focused, so we pulled that out into a separate category. Defensive attributes, weapon handling, skill cooldown, and on kill. So on kill and actually weapon handling to us when building your build are both irrelevant, and we'll get into that, and I will let things play out from here. So here are the weapon damage highlighted, so you can see where our first question comes into play into what's your primary weapon. So if you're using an assault rifle, you're probably going to want to use a Fenris Group. If you're using SMG, then you're going to want to use a Sokolov piece, Overlord rifle damage, etc., etc. So here we have the skill power items. Obviously, they're all over the place. You can get a skill item pretty much on every single brand piece. But this comes down again to second question, what skill power are you most likely to use? So if you're looking to use a drone, then you're in a SMG, then you're going to want Sokolov and the Wivenware pulled into that piece, or a brand set. Here we have damage to elites, which is pretty straightforward if you're looking to build a PvE build. And if you're looking for a PvP build, obviously you want crit hit chance, crit hit damage, so you're going to be using Douglas Harding's, Sokolov, and Wivenware. So pretty straightforward there, how they're all grouped together. Next is defensive attributes, protection from elites, total armor, hazard protection, total armor again, and hazard protection again. So obviously if you're not doing a PvE build, you're not going to need protection from elites. But the others, obviously the total armor will make a tank build. And next we have weapon handling, skill cooldowns, and on kill. So here we've turned on all the keys for you, so that way you can just take a screenshot and have it for your reference. And we'll move into some examples real quick. So keeping the initial questions in mind, we're going to move into these example base builds. So looking here, we have a Hive Chem launcher healer, a Hive support station healer, and a shield build that we've put together. And so you can see each one has 6 pieces. We put X's in the spots for the multiple pieces because obviously they don't stack. You only get the 3 bonus items off each one. And on the far right then is a combination of the stacked elements that do exist between the different brand set pieces. So I'm not going to go into each one of these base builds. But I am going to go into one of them, which is the Hive Support Station Healer, or the Division 2 Reclaimer build that we've identified, and why we chose the Alps and the Petrov pieces for that. So looking at the Hive Support Station Healer, Division 2 Reclaimer build, basically we have the Alps, which has a 10% cooldown reduction, a 5% skill power, and a 15% Hive skill power. So all of those obviously are going to help our support station. The Hive Revive would be the skill that we will be using, which actually has the ability to revive downed agents that are within the circumference of the Hive itself. So obviously that sounds to be like a support station to us. We've included the Petrov Defense really for the third piece, which is the 10% cooldown reduction. So obviously once our Hive finishes, we want to get it back as soon as possible, so any cooldown reduction additional is nice to have. Also, we get a little bit of a bonus out of it with a turret skill power and LMG damage. So hopefully if you're using an LMG as your primary, you'll be able to obviously have a little bit more damage than an actual Reclaimer in the Division 1. We look at our base bonuses over there, the cooldown reduction stack, so we're getting 20% cooldown reduction. Our weapon mod attributes, which typically are only handling, offensive, and damage to elites, we'd probably focus those on damage to elites. The gear attributes, we're going to try to find attributes that increase cooldown reduction, skill power, Hive skill power, and increase your skill's duration. With the skill attributes, we still don't know what those are at this point. I pulled those actual 3 battery slot, hole slot, and feed slot from a screenshot from I believe it was a turret or a drone. So they may be different for the Hive. So we will find out. And that's pretty much our build. All of those attributes will then add up to our character stats. And I hope everybody got something out of this, and have a good day. Thanks.